If you stood at an Indonesian port a few decades ago, the horizon would be crowded with a dense, overlapping forest of wooden masts. Today, those same docks are mostly quiet. The fleets have thinned out, leaving wide, empty stretches of water where hundreds of vessels used to tie up side by side. These surviving wooden ships belong to Pelayaran Rakyat, or Pelra. For centuries, this grassroots shipping network acted as the primary bridge connecting the thousands of islands across the archipelago. Looking at them now, the easiest assumption is that they've simply been outcompeted. A wooden cargo boat cannot match the speed or the cargo capacity of a massive, modern steel freighter like this one. But Indonesia's geography complicates that transition. Large freighters are restricted to deep, central shipping lanes. Expanding into thousands of shallow water routes and fragmented outer islands, deep draft vessels can't follow. Here, wooden Pelra ships are the only vessels capable of the final mile of delivery. If these traditional ships remain unreplaced and essential for remote island populations, why are we allowing them to systematically disappear? The problem starts in the deep water. The profitable, high-volume main trade arteries are now monopolized by the speed and scale of modern maritime logistics. Unable to compete on the major thoroughfares, the wooden fleets have been pushed out, relegated to low-volume routes at the extreme edges of the map. Delivering smaller loads to isolated communities means the trips take longer and the payouts are lower. The ships survive on razor-thin profit margins just to stay operational. When a boat barely covers the cost of its fuel and crew, maintenance gets deferred. Ropes fray, hulls wear down, and owners find themselves unable to afford standard upkeep. Out-competition permanently starved the entire network of the basic capital needed to survive. Beyond the financial strain, the fleet is being squeezed by the law. Regulators are taking modern, international maritime safety standards and applying them to these low-tech, traditional vessels. This diagram shows the resulting imbalance. On one side, we have the fleet's flat cargo revenue. On the other, the heavy costs of mandatory compliance, like retrofitting an aged wooden ship with modern satellite tracking and advanced safety equipment. Even if an owner finds the money to rebuild and materials are disappearing, patching these massive traditional hulls requires heavy timber that is vanishing from the forests. As the wood becomes rarer, its price increases, compounding the financial trap that already has the fleet backed into a corner. Finally, human scarcity is hollowing out the shipyards. Younger generations are abandoning the punishing manual labor of traditional construction for easier, modern coastal jobs. The fleet is trapped in a fatal vice, squeezed from above by rigid modern laws and squeezed from below by a lack of natural resources and human hands. Despite these pressures, the work continues. Deep in the hold of a ship, laborers are still manually moving the heavy sacks of rice and supplies that keep isolated communities alive. If these wooden ships disappear, a route closure doesn't mean a modern ship takes over. It means the food and building materials simply stop arriving. The death of the fleet means the erasure of centuries of inherited, highly specialized maritime craftsmanship. These ships are living artifacts of Indonesian history. A traditional Phoenici schooner under full sail is a functional masterpiece of design and cultural identity. We are witnessing the erasure of a functional, culturally vital network. This is not just the story of ships. It is the story of what happens when tradition meets modernity.